What is going on, guys? We are finally back with another Walking Dead theory video, this time part 2 of What If Carley Lived. I just want to say before we get into it, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. I really do appreciate all of you checking out my videos. Let's hop into it. The group makes their way into Crawford and would come to find out that it was overrun by walkers. After they devise a plan on how to get the supplies, Carley decides to tag along with Lee and Molly to go find the battery. They'd all make it inside the garage before struggling with the walkers that crawl underneath the door. They make it back to the roof of the school before Molly runs off with the battery in her bag. Over the course of the story, Lee and Carley would be there to help out Kenny and Bree with the fuel and deal with the walkers that cornered Krista and Vernon in the medical room. They eventually discover that Molly was a part of Crawford. After Lee and Carley confront her, Molly explains her backstory, telling them about the tragic loss of her sister. Carley sympathizes with Molly and tells her she understands why she kept things a secret. The three of them walk back to the classroom, only to encounter Ben, who reveals that he left the main entrance vulnerable to the herd of walkers. Molly begins to attack the walkers. Lee and Carley draw their guns to provide her with cover. When one of the walkers grabs Molly, there are two similar but different outcomes based on your decisions. If you decided to let Clementine tag along, she'll be the one who shoots the walker down like in canon. If you decided to leave her at the house, the walker is shot down by Carley. Ben later confesses to Kenny that he was the mole who made the deal with the bandits back at the motor inn. Carley is shocked and angry. She berates Ben, telling him that he could have gotten her killed. The group has to vote whether to keep Ben around. If Clementine is there to stand up for him, Carley will agree with her and vote to keep Ben in the group. If she isn't, then Carley's vote will rest on Lee's response. If you abstain, Carley votes against Ben. If you vote in favor of Ben, Carley will stand by Lee's decision. Bree is then killed by the walkers, and they start chasing the group up the stairs. Carley helps Lee while he's walking up to hold them back. Ultimately, once they've made it to the top, Lee is faced with a decision to let Ben go or pull him up. If you decide to pull Ben up, Carley tells Lee later on that while Ben did mess up, she's glad he got a second chance, hoping he wouldn't screw up again. If you let Ben go, Carley tells Lee that the decision couldn't have been easy to make, and that she's unsure whether Ben was more than a liability. Vernon eventually talks to Lee about taking Clementine. However, Carley decides to interrupt him as she doesn't want Vernon to get any ideas. We'll fast forward to when Molly is about to leave the group. With Carley present, she convinces Molly to stay as she finds her to be extremely reliable, and Lee and Carley go to comfort Clementine. With Carley at Lee's side, she offers to take first watch to keep an eye on her. This prevents Clementine from wandering off to meet the stranger, which keeps Lee from getting bitten. Carley wakes Lee up, telling him that the stranger is on the radio trying to reach Clementine again. We now enter episode 5, where the group gets together to find out how to deal with the situation. Kenny wants everyone to leave on the boat immediately, but Lee, along with Carley and Molly, believe that the best thing to do is to find the stranger, so he can't cause any problems along the way. Clementine tells Lee that the stranger wants her to head to the Marsh house to meet him. It's decided, and the group sets out on their trip to track him down. However, something stops them before they leave. It's Vernon and his crew, who wish to take the boat for themselves. He tells Lee that he doesn't wish them any harm, but that he'll do what he has to do to help his own group. You can respond peacefully, or simply draw your weapon to show you won't back down. Suddenly, Molly disarms Vernon, knocking him to the ground, with Carley pointing her gun at him. The group outnumbers and outmatches Vernon's crew. Kenny tells Clive and Boyd to lower their weapons, or Vernon ends up with a bullet in his head. Boyd tells Clive they have to surrender, and that trying to steal the boat was a bad idea from the start. He tells Lee that he didn't support Vernon's decision, and that if he lets them go, they won't cause any more trouble. Kenny tells Lee that they've got enough problems, as he doesn't trust Boyd's word, and that the only way to stop Vernon is to kill him. Molly and Ben side with Kenny, along with Carley, who still doesn't trust Vernon after he offered to take Clementine away. Lee raises his gun to Vernon, but Clementine tells him to stop, and that he won't hurt her as long as he and Carley are with her. Another hard decision for Lee arises yet again. If you decide to kill Vernon, his final words before are, "I'm sorry." Clementine is torn and rushes to hug Carley. Boyd, Joyce, and Clive stand over Vernon's corpse to mourn his death. Carley offers them the train as they're no longer seen as a threat, and the group heads for the Marsh house. If you decide to let Vernon live, Boyd thanks Lee for sparing him. Kenny is disappointed in Lee's decision. Vernon apologizes for his actions and offers to help Lee in any way he can. When they inform him about the stranger, he draws a route on their map to the Marsh house so they can use the sewer tunnels to avoid the walkers. Carley offers the train to Vernon, similar to the previous scenario. Kenny, Krista, and Omid decide on staying to move the boat out despite what Lee's decision is. Once the group makes it to the Marsh house, they deal with the walkers at the entrance before Lee tells Clem to contact the stranger. The stranger tells her which room he's in. giving Lee and the group the element of surprise. Clem knocks on the door, and when he answers it, he meets Lee face to face on the other side of it. CARLEY has her gun drawn and tells the stranger to sit down. The rest of the sequence plays out similar to canon. The stranger tells them about what happened to him and his family before reaching for his gun. Ben tries to grab the gun out of his hand to disarm him, but unfortunately, the gun goes off and the stranger shoots and instantly kills Ben. He points his gun in Lee's direction. If you don't react quick enough, CARLEY shoots him in his chest. No matter what, the stranger ends up on the floor bleeding out. He struggles to speak, but tells Lee he has no regrets. You can either leave him to die slowly from blood loss, or end things quickly and shoot him in his head. Despite whatever decision you make, Clementine hugs Lee, crying in his arms. CARLEY tells Ben she's sorry she wasn't fast enough. Grieving the loss of Ben, the group makes their way to the pier to meet Kenny, Omid, and Krista. They come to find out that the pier is overrun by walkers, and the others are struggling to hold them back. Kenny is getting cornered by a herd, so Molly rushes to help him. After getting Clem and CARLEY to the boat, the walkers cut them off from Molly and Kenny. Kenny yells, telling Lee to go, as there are too many to deal with. Molly shouts, saying they'll be okay. Lee gets the boat started, and flees the pier with everyone in the boat, leaving the two of them behind. Some time on the water passes before CARLEY tries to comfort Lee. She tells him that he's done everything he possibly can to keep the group together, and even though he can't save everyone, he still manages to keep Clementine safe. The group sets out on the boat to parts unknown. And that, guys, is part 2 of What If CARLEY Lived. I know this turned out to be a bit of a lengthy video, but I really wanted to get this out to you guys as soon as I could. I greatly appreciate all of you for making this holiday wonderful for me. And please stick around for the next video, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I will see all of you in the next one. 2 cents, out.